Today is September 12th, and this is a very important day because this was the day that the Monkees were created by Bob and Bird. Bob Rafelson and Bert Schneider. This is it's a show. What a show. I have made 94 videos in total, not just about the show, but, the guys and, things around it and how impactful they were and all the stuff they did. Mike made MTV. His mom made Whiteout. Peter was a teacher. Davey was on Broadway. Mickey is kind of a Nepo baby, but he still did so many cool things. Last year, I did try making a video about the Monkees, but it did get copyright blocked because I used some clips from the show. My bad. I thought Rhino Records owned the Monkees, not NBC. Anyways, I'm gonna try to not use too much footage of the Monkees. If I can try to get away with using music videos, I can, but I will put a disclaimer right now before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show. There's a lot, because I talk about a lot, but I just want to say that this show meant a lot. It still means a lot to me. I love each of them dearly, each member dearly. I love Peter the most because I didn't think there would be someone like me on TV. Even if he wasn't portrayed the way he was on TV, I think it's incredible. Now listen, I know they're not all saints, but we're still heroes to some people. Sorry, there's string. But yeah, anyways, I say we should stop dilly-dallying and get into the video. Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. That was a weird-ass intro to do. In case you couldn't tell, today we're talking about the Monkees. If the whole intro didn't mean anything to you, obviously we are talking about the Monkees. The Monkees, in case none of you have, if this is your first time on my channel, don't worry, I am explaining what the Monkees are. The Monkees were it was an American television musical sitcom show that first aired on NBC for 2 seasons from September 12th, 1966 to March 25th of 1968. And today, of course, is September 12th, so today's the anniversary. The series follows the adventures of 4 young men in a band called the Monkees, trying to make a name for themselves as a rock and roll band. This show introduced a number of innovative new wave film techniques to series television and won 2 Emmys in 1967, including Outstanding Comedy Series. The show ended in 1968 and at the finish of its 2nd season, and has received a long afterlife through Saturday morning repeats, CBS from 1969 to 1972, and ABC from 1972 to 1973, and syndication as well as overseas broadcast. We're not going to talk about that fuck-ass revival in this video, but MTV did air reruns of the show in 1986. It also aired on Sunday afternoons on MeTV at the beginning of February 24th, 2019, 3 days after death of Peter. So sad. And it ended on April 26, 2020. That's before my birthday. That's a couple of days before my birthday. You got me messed up. But the network did air 4 episodes on December 12th of 2021 as a tribute to Mike Nesmith, who died 2 days earlier, followed by a weekend binge on December 11th and 12th. I just realized they did nothing for Davey when he died. Oh. So there's really no reason for me to get into the overview of the show because it's just about the guys trying to get gigs and being in wacky situations. Now granted, it got a bit weird in season 2 when Peter was getting scammed and almost sold his soul to the devil for a harp and stuff like that, but normal stuff. Oh, and Mickey was kidnapped by aliens and had a robot clone sent, but normal stuff. It's more important to get into the conception and casting of the show because, well, the Beatles are roped into this. If you guys have seen the unaired pilot / episode 10, you would know that the Beatles, well, they had a hand in this. In the early 60s, aspiring filmmakers Bob Rafelson and Bert Schneider had formed Raybird Productions and were trying to get a foot in the door of Hollywood. They were inspired by the Beatles' film A Hard Day's Night and decided to develop a television series about a fictional rock and roll group. Raybird sold the series idea to Screen Gems in 1965 in April, and Paul Mazursky and Larry Tucker completed a pilot script by August entitled The Monkees, which actually was posted on the Instagram. Rafelson has said that he had the idea for a TV series about a music group as early as 1960, but had a hard time interesting anyone in it until 1965, which by that time, rock and roll music was firmly entrenched in pop culture. Trade publications Daily Variety and The Hollywood Reporter ran an ad on September 8, 1965, seeking folk and role musicians/singers for new acting roles in a new TV series. As many as 400 hopefuls showed up to be considered as one of the 4 insane boys. 14 actors from the audition pool were brought back for screen tests, and Raybird chose their final 4 after audience research. And we all know those 4 boys, eh? Let's count them down. First, we have Mickey. Now, before Mickey had the name Mickey Dolenz, he had an actor named Mickey Browning, because Mickey was he's the son of George Dolenz, who was also an actor and was more notably in the show The Count of Monte Cristo. That show. Mickey was known as being Circus Boy and being Mickey Braddock, but he did of course change his name when he got the role, but he was actively auditioning for pilots at the time, and then was told about the Raybird production or project by his agent. Davy is the most notable one out of all of them, because Davy was a former jockey who did achieve some initial success on the musical stage. The most notable one being appearing with the cast of Oliver on the Ed Sullivan Show the same night that the Beatles had their live American debut. He was also appearing in Columbia Pictures Productions and recording for Cold Picks record label, and had been identified in advance as a potential star for the series. Fun fact about Davy, he appeared in a doctor show called Ben Casey way before he was on the Monkees, and he looks great. Mike's probably the most memorable one out of all of them, besides Mickey and maybe Davy. Mike's mom made whiteout, alright? She made it in liquid paper, that was her. And if you've seen my channel, you know I made a video about how Mike was in the Air Force for a brief moment. And he also recorded for Colplex, like Davy, but he had the name Michael Blessing. Alright. Unlike the rest of the guys who were told about the thing, Mike was the only one who had come in for the audition based on seeing the Trade magazine ad, and he showed up to the audition with laundry, which impressed Bob and Bert with his layback style and his droll sense of humor. And his iconic hat was actually worn to keep the hair out of his eyes, because he came into the audition with a motorcycle, which led to early promotional materials giving him the nickname Wool Hat. And it did remain part of his wardrobe, but the name was dropped, because that's a stupid name. Peter's is more crazier to me, of course. If you guys have seen my Stephen Stills video, you would know that Stephen Stills auditioned for the role that Peter did not. Peter wasn't gonna audition, I don't think. Peter was recommended to Bob and Bird after Stephen was rejected. Him and Stephen are best friends, and Peter was of course a skilled multi-instrumentalist who had performed at various Greenwich Village folk clubs before moving west, where he worked as a busboy. Which, give the biopic credit, that is mentioned in the biopic. There is a scene where Peter's a busboy, but there's no Stephen Stills though. There's no Stephen Stills telling him, "Hey, you should do this, Peeper. I'll love you." So Bob and Bird wanted the style of the series to reflect the avant-garde film techniques such as improvisation, quick cuts, jump cuts, breaking the fourth wall, and free-flowing, loose narratives, then being pioneered by European film directors. Each episode will contain at least one musical romp, which might have nothing to do with the storyline. That's why Big Time Rush uses it. In retrospect, these vignettes now look very much like music videos, short, self-contained films of songs which style echoed the Beatles' recent ventures into promotional films for their singles. Bob and Bert also believe strongly in the program's ability to appeal to young people, intentionally framing the kids as heroes and the adults as heavies. Whatever that means. Bob and Bert hired novice director James Frawley, yes, that James Frawley who made the Muppet movie. That was him. To teach the four actors improvisational comedy. Each of the four was given a different personality to portray. Mickey was going to be the funny one, Mike was going to be the smart and serious one, Peter was going to be the naive one, and Jones, well, Davey was going to, he was going to be the cute one. Their characters were loosely based on their real selves, with the exception, of course, of Peter, who was actually, quite intellectual, the ASD within him or whatever. And the character types also had much in common with the respective personalities of the Beatles. Mickey was, of course, John Lennon? Okay. Well, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because Mike is George Harrison, deadpan seriousness, and Mickey's mad like John, and Peter's like Ringo because he's Ringo, and since Davey's the cute one, he's Paul McCartney. A pilot episode was shot in San Diego and in LA on a shoestring budget. In many scenes, the Monkees wore their own clothes, so what you see in like the on-air pilot / episode 10 is what they actually wore. And initial audience tests, which were just them being pioneered, produced very low responses. So then, Bob Rafelson re-edited the pilot to include the screen test, which I'll give the biopic credit for this. They did also include that. I just wish that the screen tests looked good in the biopic. The recut pilot tested so well that NBC placed an order for 2 seasons of episodes. The edited pilot was then broadcasted on November 14th, 1966 as the 10th episode of the first season, with Mickey being credited under his real last name as for all of the episodes, like I've mentioned many times before. So when the show was airing, it had 2 sponsors, Kellogg's Cereal and Yardley of London, which I never understood that one, but it's a British brand of personal care products, so they did have one commercial for it. The Monkees have like one commercial for it, but I'll just play it. It was really weird.
It's the whole scene when you splash on Yardley Black Label, the new aftershave that's really out of sight. Be the guy who's got it all. Black Label, get it.
The series was filmed by Screen Gems, so because of that, they had like some of the same exact props and sets that the Three Stooges used in their short films. So like the pajamas that Peter wears sometimes in like some episodes were actually worn by Curly Howard in some shorts like Cactus Makes Perfect and in the Sweet Pie and Pie, so that's a pretty cool fun fact. And unlike most TV shows of the time, the Monkees episodes were written in many setups, with many setups, requiring frequent breaks to prepare the set and cameras for short bursts of filming. Some of the bursts were considered proto-music videos, in as much as they were produced to sell the records. The Monkees' tale author Eric Lefkowitz noted that the Monkees were, first and foremost, a video group. Now, this is true, what I'm about to read, because Mickey said in his book. But due to the guys routinely wandering off and being hard to find when they needed to film, any of the 4 Monkees who was not needed in front of the cameras was sequestered into a repurposed meat locker. In the DVD commentary, Peter noted that this had the added benefit of concealing any devil's lettuce use that may be going on, although he admitted that he was the sole serious head of the 4 of them. Although in the 80s, Peter gave up drinking and smoking and volunteered time to people recovering from alcoholism. I think this has something to do with the fact that he did go to jail. I don't know for how long, but he did go to jail. That might have had a hand in it. But in a studio outtake included in the 1990s re-release of Headquarters, Mike quips before launching into 9 Times Blues, "Only difference between me and Peter is I'm just stone legal." Mike didn't like Peter.
You can come out now. Oh, boy! Mickey, come on.
And there's Mike being sarcastic. We couldn't get him to participate. He was so annoyed that I was directing.
If there's one thing I'm glad season 2 dropped, it's when Bob would interview them. They didn't like it. You know what? I didn't like it. And also, although the earlier episodes contained a laugh track like most shows back then, because it was standard practice at the time, the show eventually did not add 1.5 of the episodes from season 2 that had no canned laughter. So, like, there was no laugh track in season 2 in some episodes, I think. Alright, so because I want this video to be long, I've decided to add in one of my other videos. I made a video about the house. The thing is, though, I'm probably gonna get a copyright claim for using Mike Nesbitt's song. You know what? I don't care! I will first explain the car, and then I'm gonna put in the video about the house. So the car that the guys use to drive around, which is a weird car because how do they fit stuff in it? I don't know. But they had a modified Pontiac GTO, so I think like a 1966 one, that was designed and built by designer Dean Jeffries. The car featured a tilted forward split 2-piece windshield, alright, a touring car T-bucket type convertible top, modified rear quarter panels and front fenders, exaggerated tail lamps, a set of 4 bucket seats with an extra third row bench where the rear deck should have been, and a parachute. Yes, they have a parachute. It's only for emergencies, though. And the front grille sported the GTO emblem. Now I say it's confusing because how do they do stuff? What's up with this car? Anyways, I'm gonna put in the video about the pad now, and then we're gonna move on to the awards and nominations. Oh, how I've been dreading to make this video. As TV has evolved, I'm sure most of us have wanted to live in the homes of some of these TV shows. Maybe you've wanted to live in the Friends apartment. Maybe you wanted to live with Malcolm in the Middle for some reason. Heck, maybe you wanted to go live with the Spy Kids. But if you were a child in the 60s, you probably want to live with the Monkees. But editing Amy, show a picture of the Monkees layout. This is what the pad looks like. And not only are we going to go through it, but first I just want to show you guys like what it looks like. All you're seeing is a picture, but I want you guys to see everything in the pad. So, thanks to the Sunshine Factory for having a layout of the Monkees pad, we're gonna first start with the downstairs. This is the downstairs, and this is the upstairs. As you can see, though, for the upstairs, before we get into it, there is a mirror right here. This is a chair, obviously. That's a dresser, but these two are beds. Now, this is confusing because of season 2, where the guys clearly have a bed over here, and I think over here, because that's where Mickey and Peter sleep, and Mike and Davey sleep over here. And there's also a shelf over here. But anyways, this is the downstairs. Over here, in this area, we have a poster for Big Top, a circus thing. Clearly Mickey has that. And this is where the podium is. Over here is where the clock is. I'm not gonna show a picture of that. There's a bus stop sign. There's a chair over here. And this is a very famous sign they have in case of fire run. Here's their table and their flight schedule. I never understood why the guys had these. I assume they probably in like a dumpster or something. There's a chair over here. There's a sign that says no smoking or street clothes beyond this point, which pretty weird. This is the kitchen area, so obviously this is where the, stuff is. They've got household job openings. Again, don't know how they got that. They also have another circus poster, which again, I assume is Mickey's, and a scrub up sign, and then here's the sink, and the water pump, and the counter. Over here is a weird totem pole, which I think that was added in season 2. We also have these squares. Don't know why they're there. And the infamous bird. Always love that bird. And a vase, random vase, more squares. An acrobats poster that I assume is Mickey's. Money's the root of all evil, very famous thing in the house. A high wire artist poster. Probably also Mickey's, and then here is the table where they all sit. There's a Monkees chair, and then there's the, dining chairs and dining table. Over here is the lounge chair, the end table, the love seat, photographs of, I don't even know who these people are. I don't even know where they got these photos. A mask, the jukebox, a chair, an end table, another chair, and then this is the coffee table, and that's the carpet, and then over here's another table where Mr. Schneider sits. There's a chair, there's a lamp, another chair, and then over here is a crime school half poster with, okay, probably Mickey's too, let's be honest here. A chest, don't know what's in that chest. Number 7, probably references 7A, I don't know, I'm just saying. An eye chart for some reason, a typewriter, okay, that makes sense to be there. A Fine Feathers poster, okay, any movie poster in this house is probably Mickey's. Alright, that just is butts. Alright, and then there's an amp over here, an amp over there, Mickey's drums, and then the guitar, and, yeah, that's the whole layout of the pad. I know what you're thinking, though. Oh, Amy, that wasn't so complicated at all. You just went through the whole thing with no problem. That layout is confusing, and not only is that confusing, so is the address of the house and everything else about this pad, okay? Everything from the unaired pilot / episode 10 to everything else is just confusing about this house. So we're gonna go through it, step by step by step, or I guess you could say we're gonna go through it every step of the way. Okay, I already making monkey references in this video. I need to cut it out. So, according to the Sunshine Factory, the address of the Monkees pad was 1334 Beechwood, according to the kidnappers in Your Friendly Neighborhood Kidnappers. 1424 Malibu, California, according to the letter in Too Many Girls, Davy and Fern. 1438 North Beechwood, according to Davy in the case of the missing monkey. 1334 North Beechwood Drive, Hollywood, California, according to the telegram in Head. The address, 1334 Northwood Beach Drive, Hollywood, California, was frequently given in 16 magazine as an address to contact Screen Gems and or the Monkees. I know you guys are most excited about, me talking about season 2 and Head and how different the pad looks, but hold on now, hold on. We are also mentioning the special in this because, and we're gonna get into it, the scenes featuring the pad were filmed on a set at Screen Gems, which is now Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California. However, the house used in Here Come the Monkees, aka the unaired pilot, appears to have been a real house. The interior of this house never appeared in any other episode, but the exterior was used for the occasional establishing shot. The actual house was likely located in San Diego, where the pilot was filmed, but it's unlikely this house still exists today, although it'd make a killer Airbnb. I'm just saying. The Monkees filmed on several different beaches in Malibu, California. One beach they often used was Westward Beach near Point Dunes. This beach was used in the episodes Royal Flush, the first episode, and Don't Look a Gift Horse in the Mouth, episode 8. And also in the special, Hey Hey, It's the Monkees, or the 97 special, where the camera pans down to the beach from a house we can only assume is meant to be the Monkees pad. The Monkees also filmed many outdoor scenes on the Columbia Ranch, which is now the Warner Brothers Ranch in Burbank, California. I'd like to mention one thing before we get into season 2 and Head. And also, not 33 1/3, because that pad isn't there at all. In the 97 special, the house looks different again, and I can only assume somebody forgot what the pad looks like, because the open window area where the drums usually are looks completely different, and the kitchen also looks very different, and they didn't have a microwave. So I'm just saying, they got some new technology. I mean, at least the spiral staircase is still there, but I have no idea if they even built an upstairs. So I don't even know where Peter came from, if they even built an upstairs, or if, it's a bit confusing. So now we get into season 2 and Head. Season 2 has some not so significant changes, but Head has a lot of changes, and it's very insane. I also would like to mention the 97 special again, because the pad sort of looks similar to what season 2 was going for, but also at the same time has the vibes of Head. So, anyways, the map on this page, the one that I was showing you before, is actually based on the layout of the house in the first season of the show. However, in the second season, the general layout of the pad stayed mostly the same, but there were many new wall hangings and decor. As for Head, the pad was briefly shown in Head, only briefly, and it's during that scene where they're all making smoochy faces, I need to stop. Anyways, most of the furniture and decor was very different. The spiral staircase was gone. The front door and the stained glass window remained the same. And the bandstand windows were also stained glass. So, I don't know when they got the budget for that, but I wish to not care. Now we get to the part of the whole pad that's very confusing, and that's the bedrooms. In Monkey Chow Mein, the downstairs bedroom belonged to Davy and Peter, and the upstairs bedroom belonged to Mike and Mickey. However, Mike also used the downstairs bedroom in I've Got a Little Song Here. The downstairs bedroom also appeared in Your Friendly Neighborhood Kidnappers and Monkey Mother. The upstairs bedroom appeared in The Chaperone, which is where my queen, Mrs. Arcadian, came in. The same bedroom set was used for the upstairs and downstairs bedroom. The set was also used as 1444 Beechwood in Your Friendly Neighborhood Kidnappers, Harry's house in I've Got a Little Song Here, and Schlotto's office in The Monkees in the Ring, or whatever. So, interesting to know. Another confusing thing about the house is that there are just mysterious doors and we have no idea where they go. So, we have the door to the right of the kitchen. This door was used by Peter possibly as a closet in Your Friendly Neighborhood Kidnappers. It leads to a closet in Don't Look a Gift Horse in the Mouth, but it's also used by a party guest and Mickey in The Chaperone. It also leads outside and is used by Davy in One Man Shy, Peter and the Debutante, but also leads outside and is used by Peter and the Four Martians in The Audition, aka Find the Monkees, which, hey, today's the anniversary of that episode. Well, if I upload this tomorrow, then yesterday was the anniversary, but anyways. But it's also a closet in The Monkees in the Ring, but it's also used by Peter in the Monkees Chow Mein, and also leads outside the Monkees Christmas show. So, there's that weird door. Don't understand. At all. Anyways, the door to the right of the jukebox leads to the bathroom, as explained by Davy in Monkees Get Out More Dirt. I gladly trade Mike for the bathroom right away. This door can also be seen in The Chaperone and One Man Shy, aka Peter and the Debutante. The door to the left of the front door was never used, but it was seen in The Chaperone, and it was hidden in A Coffin Too Frequent and Monkeys Blow Their Minds. 3 things left, which, to be honest, I really should have combined these together. Bad on my part. Bad on my part. Anyway, so I'm looking at pictures right now. There's the pad. Anyways, the front entrance that we see is in Royal Flush, Don't Look a Gift Horse in the Mouth, Monkey Mother, and Monkeys Get Out More Dirt. And the sun deck is seen in Success Story, The Chaperone, I've Got a Little Song Here, The Prince and the Paupers, Monkey Chow Mein, and Monkey Mother. It's worth noting that the only Monkey episode that takes place in the pad, like just in the pad, is Monkey Mother. The pad does not appear in Monkeys in a Ghost Town, Son of a Gypsy, The Case of the Missing Monkey, I Was a Teenage Monster, Monkeys at the Circus, Captain Crocodile, Monkeys in Manhattan, and Monkeys on Tour. Those last two because the Monkeys went to Manhattan, and those are the actual monkeys going on tour. So obviously the pad, they weren't even in the pad in that little thing where Dave's like, "Hello, this is the last episode of the program," and like that wasn't even the pad. All right, that editing Amy, pull up the clip so I can be making sense.
Hello, this is the last show of the season, and we'd really like to thank you for watching. A lot of groovy things have happened to us this year, and we really appreciate it.
Have a dime for a cup of coffee?
That's David Jones.
He's a young thingy, don't you know?
You want to go help an old man across the street?
No.
Well, why don't you go help an old man across the street, eh?
Anyway, just stay tuned. We think we have something real groovy for you. We want you to see what happens to us on the day of a concert.
It's a night of a concert.
The night of a concert.
Night of a concert. You'd be a good fella if you just build up your self-confidence.
This is such a small section to put in this video, but I wanted to mention it because what a flex, am I right? The Monkees won 2 Emmy Awards in 1967, one for Outstanding Comedy Series, and one for Outstanding Directional Achievement in Comedy. That's what James won for the first episode, which, it's an okay episode if it wasn't the first episode. Side note, because I never really complained about this, but Royal Monkey Flush does not feel like a first episode. It feels more like an episode that would be like plopped into the middle of the season. I guess I don't know what I expected though. Anyways, back to the video. James Frawley also won the same award for the season 2 episode, The Devil and Peter Tour, which that is my favorite episode. However, its win for comedy series was considered somewhat of an upset, as it bested longtime favorites like The Andy Griffith Show, Bewitched, Get Smart, and Hogan's Heroes, which, okay, I never heard of Hogan's Heroes. Alright? I never have. Andy Griffith Show, that show, didn't even last that long. Bewitched, I can understand, but it lasted longer than the Monkees. And Get Smart, I've never heard of it, but they based it off of James Bond, and it was created by Mel Brooks. Alright, so I mentioned this a lot, and I'm gonna mention it again. You know, the decline and cancellation of the show, because, like, it always makes me so sad. What the show could have been. There was so much potential with the Monkees that I feel like if they just let the guys do what they wanted, we could have had, like, maybe one more season instead of just two beautiful ones. Anyways, for its first season from 1966 to 1967, the series fared well in the television ratings, bolstered by several hit records by the band. The Monkees became a huge pop culture sensation. However, the public did not realize the show and the band were just a regularly produced television series, and that the characters did not write or perform their own studio music, except to provide the vocals. The only exception were their live performances. And of course, when the truth became known, there was considerable backlash from many fans and music critics. Linear Notes for a 2006 re-release of More of the Monkees also noted that the album sales had consistently outperformed the TV show's Nielsen ratings. More were listening to the band than watching the band on TV. The West Coast American recording industry had many session musicians under contract performing for many musical acts, such as the Wrecking Crew, that recorded the Monkees and many other music groups of this era, so this was really nothing new. However, NBC responded to the criticism and internal tensions by retooling the show in its second season, with the Monkees now writing and performing much of their own music that was much less pop-oriented. Moreover, Don Kirshner, the producer for the Monkees for the first season and responsible for the first smash hits, was terminated by Cold Gems Records, resulting in a much less bubblegum rock sound for the band. In addition, the first season's clean-cut looks were replaced by a more hippie-looking attire. By 1968, both NBC and the band felt that the series had run its course, as even with the changes, the formulaic premises of each episode were beginning to repeat themselves, and so the show was canceled in 1968, and the series finale was directed and originally written by Mickey Dolenz, called The Greatest Caper, or Mihagio, which was written as a satire of the industry, and a parting shot there too. An evil eye resembling the CBS logo is hypnotizing television viewers everywhere, and the Monkees trace it to an alien plant being manipulated by a villain seeking world domination! Not the crazy thing that happened in season 2.
Oh, well.
No! She missed Peter too! Chihuahua, no! When the plant emits smoke, it pacifies the villain, the meaning of which Mickey stated he would leave to the imagination of the viewer, and the special guest of the episode, Tim Buckley, yes, the father of Jeff Buckley, closes up the series with his song, Song to the Siren. Ooh, Tim Buckley. Tim Buckley III. Wow, his dad was a Tim Buckley. Imagine if Jeff... No, I could never imagine Jeff Buckley being named Tim. Too many Tims. Now, had this series been renewed for a third season, the Monkees did plan to abandon the sitcom format and retool the series. Basically, what they wanted to do was like a Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, which they did actually appear in it, minus Peter, and they did a pretty good job with it. And yes, in 1968, they did make their own movie called Head, and, I was going to put that in this video, but it's not a section in this video. Therefore, I cannot talk about it in this video. I already made some videos about it in the Monkey playlist, so I recommend you just go find it. It's there. Trust me, it's there. So the Monkees did enjoy like a resurgence on Saturday morning / afternoon television on CBS from September of 1969 to September of 1972 when they were sponsored by Kool-Aid, which I'm showing the commercial right now. I just wanted to point out that this is a pretty baller commercial. And they also were airing on ABC from September 1972 to August 1973. To coincide with the releases of the Monkees Present and Changes albums during this time period, many episodes replaced the older songs with track from these recent releases. This strategy was also employed during the summer of 1967, when many of the first season episodes had their songs from their first albums replaced with songs from the then current single from the third album, Headquarters. The 58 episodes were then sold to local markets for syndication in September of 1975, where they typically appeared on independent television stations on weekday afternoons. The opening title sequence seen in the syndication package for all 58 episodes is from the second season of the original run. In many cases, episodes seen in the syndication package feature the updated soundtracks of the Saturday morning run or the earlier summer 1967 repeats. And then a second Monkey Mania basically began in the 80s, specifically February 23rd, 1986, when MTV started airing a Monkey Marathon, and within months, the 58 episodes were airing regularly throughout the US on local stations in edited form, and Nickelodeon MTV in uncut form, as well as Canada on Much Music and on ITV in the UK as part of its network strand from September of 1987. Mickey, Peter, and Davey were already reunited for like a 20th anniversary tour, and they went from playing small clubs to stadiums as the series caught on and the tour drew critical praise. As I film this video, Rhino Records is still the people who own the rights to the series and the music catalog and everything else. But Sony Pictures Television is the TV distributor for syndication and cable, which I still don't look at that. Don't look at that later. I still question when they're gonna put the Monkees on streaming. It's very, very hard to watch the show. As it says over here, you can like watch it on like Access TV or like, you know, other stuff like MeTV. But I would still prefer to watch it on streaming instead of like, you know, watching it on my Google Drive or the Internet Archive, but whatever. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Amy, is it impossible to watch this show? Not necessarily. 6 2-episode VHS volumes of the TV show were distributed by Music Vision, RCA, and Columbia Pictures Home Video between July 15, 1986 and June 25, 1987, taking advantage of the group's, 20th anniversary, of course. And then on October 17, 1995, which timeline-wise, that's when the Monkees reunited for their 30th anniversary, Rhino Home Video issued the complete series as a deluxe VHS box set containing all 58 episodes, plus the pilot and my favorite special, 33 1/3 revolutions per monkey, and a total of 21 videotapes, along with a specifically created full-color photo book that tells the history of the series, information about each episode, and a variety of photographs from the series. First run issues of the set also included a limited edition wristwatch, which I would love that. And a few months before, on May 22nd, Columbia House started releasing a collector's edition of the series, also collecting all 58 episodes, and the special from 69, with the one exception being the unaired pilot from 1965, which was only available on Rhino's video box set. Rhino later released individual 2-episode VHS volumes of the TV series between March 26, 1996 and April 11, 2000. It would be the last time that the show would be distributed on a video cassette. And then in 2003, Rhino Entertainment Company, under its Rhino Retrovision Classic TV Entertainment brand, released the complete series on DVD, and both seasons were re-released by Eagle Rock Entertainment on September 2011. And in honor of the band's 50th anniversary, the show was released on Blu-ray, the complete series, on July 8th, 2016. And I just want to say, it costs like $100 to buy the show. It is too damn hard. If you want to watch the show, the whole thing's on the Internet Archive, and I have Google Drive that, I don't know, ask me on Instagram if you want it. I honestly don't know. I'm just trying to promote my Instagram. Now, for the sake of my sanity, I will not be yapping about the new Monkees. I will instead be putting the video I made about them. Granted, kind of old, because I wanted to, fix it somehow. And also, there will be a video about them eventually, but for the sake of this video, why not? I really didn't want to talk about this, but I can't hold it in anymore. If you've been subscribed to my channel for a long time, you would know how I feel about reboots and remakes as well as sequels. I think sometimes, if done well, the sequels can be, good, but once in a while when they make more, it just isn't so good. And then when they reboot the whole thing or remake it, it makes you want to watch the old version more. And it's really difficult to talk about this because I never knew this existed until I became a fan of the Monkees. And rather than talking about the Monkees in this video, I'm just going to redirect you to like a nutshell history video about them, because this video isn't about them. It's about the people that wanted to be like them. While I always praise the 80s for reviving the Monkees and making them popular again after they released Pool It and did reruns of episodes on MTV and Nickelodeon, I have to say the one thing I hated the 80s for doing was trying to be cash grabbing the Monkees. For those of you who don't know what a cash grab is, I'll explain it to you later, but in a nutshell, some people thought it'd be a funny idea to revive the Monkees after the 20th anniversary aired in 1986. Now, before I talk about the new Monkees, I like to mention what a cash grab is. A cash grab is a product designed primarily or solely with the intent of generating profits or money. This is exactly what the show is. The show was a cash grab to make new Monkees fans who had never seen the old show like this show, which obviously it didn't work. So you're probably wondering, who are the new Monkees? Did they also become a real band? And how long did they last? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be going over the background of the Monkees, and the albums they released, which I don't think they released much, and find out where they are now.
On KST Washington.
My name is Helen, and I live with these 4 rock stars in a house you're just never gonna believe.
So, like I mentioned before, the 20th anniversary of the Monkees TV series in 1986 generated enough interest that New Monkees, a full reboot of the earlier series with none of the original members of the Monkees involved, was conceived later that year and launched the following year. I mentioned in my Fun Facts about Mickey Dolenz video that he was, they came to him to, like, direct it and stuff, but yeah, obviously he said no to that. The show was conceived later that year and launched the following year, which was, 1986, so they launched, I guess, in 1987. I really don't care enough to know. The show was distributed by LBS Communications in association with Coca-Cola Telecommunications. Straber Productions, headed by Steve Blonner, who was a former partner of original Monkees producer Robert Raffleson and Bert Schneider, served as project producers. The group's members were Jared Chandler, Dino Koves, Marty Ross, and Larry Staulis. And it has been with the original Monkees, each had to pass a grueling set of auditions. Unlike the previous series, however, musical ability was a key factor in the selection process. Ross, a multi-instrumentalist, had earlier been signed to CBS Records with his former band, The Wigs. By the way, before I get to the revived interest, if I had to guess, since I haven't seen any footage of the show yet, and I really don't know if I want to torture myself with that, I assume Marty Ross was the Peter Tork of the band since he could play a bunch of instruments. But I'm not pushing my luck. So, apparently, on November 11, 2017, all four new Monkees attended a 30-year reunion organized by Amy Collen. They were interviewed for the podcast Deep Dish Radio with Tim Powers and performed a few songs. On February 16, 2019, oh geez, I didn't even realize it was that. Oh my god. Anyways, the new Monkees performed a concert arranged by Jody Ritson at the Pig and Whistle restaurant and bar in Los Angeles with an appearance by the original Monkee, Mickey Dolenz. While the original Monkees had 32 episodes, the new Monkees only had 13 episodes. And can you really blame them? I mean, look at this. Why the fuck would you want to reboot the Monkees? They weren't even that old yet. The new Monkees only had one album, and it was obviously called The New Monkees. And each track, like Slide 1 or whatever the CD naming of it was, only had 5 songs, while Side 2 only had 6. After that, they released a single and then a song called Yulesville, but I truly don't care. Now, you probably think that's all there is to New Monkees, but I'm just warming up. I found a whole Yahoo.com article about the history of the New Monkees, so obviously I'm going to read the whole thing because I like to torture myself for you people. This is what I get for being me. According to Yahoo.com, 30 years ago in September of 1987, Columbia Pictures and Shaber Productions monkeyed around with an old showbiz formula, attempting to capitalize on the nostalgia sparked by MTV's Monkey Marathon the previous year, which had inspired original band members Mickey, Davey, and Peter to reunite for a successfully huge, large tour. Columbia and Shaber controversially decided to create a new band, specifically a new Monkees TV show for a modern age. A nationwide search ensued, and out of 3,000 applicants, casting directors eventually selected the boys that we know. 20-year-old pizza boy and part-time VJ Dino Koves, 19-year-old waiter Jared Chandler, 27-year-old professional musician Marty Ross, and 18-year-old college student Larry Saltis, who had already been working since age 16 with Atlantic Records. All four Monkees could sing and play, and their now long out-of-print self-titled album featured some big-name producers and songwriters and was surprisingly listenable, but hey, that's what the article says. I'll be the judge of that, bro. The slapped-together sitcom was aggressively, obnoxiously 80s, with the new Monkees trapped inside a gnarlishly neon Pee-wee's Playhouse-like cartoon mansion with an eccentric butler, a war game/Electric Dragons-esque talking computer named Helen, and a perky waitress who worked in the mansion's ground floor diner. Okay, I'm sorry. I never watched the show. I might watch it to torture myself, but if this is what the pad looks like, I'm so done already. The show also had some guest stars like boxer Ray Boom Boom Mancini, Russell the Professor Johnson from Gilligan's Island, and cult musical trio the Del Rubio Triplets. I don't know any of these, but oh my god, one episode's plotline actually involved the band meeting the Pope in the diner. Oh my god. None of it made much sense, and aside from a couple of clever skits that might have gone viral if YouTube or Facebook had existed in 1987, very little of it worked. According to the article, the show was supposed to have 22 episodes, so unlike the Monkees, they were only going to have 22, while the Monkees had 32 or something like that. But since the show was so bad and generated a backlash from outraged old school Monkees fans and even a lawsuit from the original Monkees themselves, it was yanked after 13 episodes. As the book The Complete Directory to Primetime Network and Cable TV Shows 1946 Present points out, the show was on the air for less time than it had taken the producers to find Dino, Marty, Larry, and Jared. However, 3 decades later, the show serves as a fascinating late 80s artifact. While Saltis had left show business and now runs his own construction company, the other 3 still work in entertainment. Chandler is a military consultant for movies, TV shows, and video games. Ross is a successful film and television composer. And Kovacs is an actor and director who just finished directing his first feature film, Sleeping Dogs Lie, and is currently working at work on the sci-fi thriller Roadkill. The band members have reunited over the years, although Kovacs quips that he likes to call them get-togethers and not reunions, much to the delight of their small but devoted cult fan base, and they remain pals. I'd like to read a quote that Mickey Dolenz said when asked about directing the pilot for the new Monkees. They asked me to direct the pilot. The original Monkees were on the road at the time, in '86, selling out 10,000 seaters. They said, you guys should be in it, and you can sort of hand the baton over to the new guys. And I was like, screw you, I ain't giving the baton to nobody. I fucking love Mickey Dolenz so much. Marty Ross apparently talked to Mickey, and Mickey said to his face, yeah, I was supposed to direct the pilot. They offered him to direct the pilot. I immediately thought about how that would have been great for us, but what's in it for him? And the other guys are probably just cashing him for it, which is so true, and considering the fact that the original Monkees did sue these guys, yeah. I'm not sure if I want to read this article from MeTV.com about what happened to the new Monkees, but considering this video is already a rant, I guess I might as well. Larry, Jared, Dino, and Marty failed to reach the stardom of Peter, Mickey, Davey, and Michael. The syndicated series lasted a mere 13 episodes. Warner Bros. Record released a tie-in album, also titled New Monkees, that flopped. Part of that was perhaps due to the music itself. Yeah, I listened to one song, and no offense, but it really wanted me to just drive a car off a cliff or something. Unfortunately, New Monkees misjudged the key appeal of the original Monkees. On the 1960s series, the band struggled to make it. Their desperation fueled the comedy. In the reboot, however, the 4 live in a massive mansion that would make the Fresh Prince and Ricky Stratton drool. A butler tended to their needs. Heck, there was even a diner inside their house, complete with a retro soda fountain and a waitress named Rita. It was the 80s. Everyone wanted to be a yuppie. Oh, by the way, there was a reason for all that soda. Perhaps the most interesting thing about this attempted syndicated reboot was its parent distribution company, Coca-Cola Telecommunications. Man, you would have thought they learned their lesson after New Coke. Coca-Cola Telecommunications had a thirst for reviving the past. Around the same time, the production house, a collaboration between the Coca-Cola Company and Columbia Pictures, was launching reboots like The New Gidget and What's Happening Now. I don't know what any of those are. At the end of 1987, Coca-Cola Telecommunications folded as Columbia slurped up their remains. The soft drink giant found far more success in the apparel industry. Every kid wanted a Coca-Cola branded rugby shirt in 1987. Man, Coke was just that good back then. And then the article goes on to basically roast the New Monkees' outfits, like how Larry used enough hairspray to supply a Motley Crue green room, which, oh my gosh, I gotta say, it's kind of funny, actually. Alright, I kind of mentioned what the guys were doing after becoming the New Monkees, but there's more information that I didn't know. So Larry fronted Tower City in the 90s. The band strives to keep the 80s alive and seemed to garner a following in Japan. Dino hopped to the other side of the camera, and in 2018 he directed a film called Sleeping Dogs Lie. Jared Chandler served in the Army Reserves and used his military experience to become a technical advisor in Hollywood. He was a military advisor on flicks like Clear and Present Danger and XXX State of the Union, while Marty struck to the realm of television music, composing for the screen. But the most fascinating development has been the melding of the New Monkees with the original Monkees. Marty Ross began playing concerts with Mickey Dolenz. At first, Marty and Mickey merely shared a bill. Finally, in August 2018, Marty performed with Mickey, marking the first time a new Monkee played with an original Monkee. Finally, in 2019 of February, all 4 New Monkees hit the stage at a pub on Hollywood Boulevard called the Pig and Whistle. They reunited New Monkees. Sorry, I think the New Monkees have fried my brain. I apologize for the little brain fart I had, but I'm just gonna reset. Finally, in February of 2019, all four new Monkees hit the stage at a pub on Hollywood Boulevard called the Pig and Whistle. The reunited new Monkees welcomed Mickey Dolenz on stage. The hybrid Monkees ripped through the last train to Clarksville. I don't want to see. If the new Monkees have earned the respect of Mickey, perhaps it's time for the rest of us to give the 80s dudes their due. I'm not gonna. They're not. They can't make me. No. Also, fun fact: the Friends Fountain first made a big splash on the Monkees, but no, you can't make me like the new Monkees. All right, I'm not doing it. Thank you for watching this ramble rant of a video. Make sure to like and subscribe, I guess. I did say I would watch all 13 episodes or however many episodes of Ferris Bueller Show, so I guess if you like this video enough, I might torture myself by watching all the episodes of the new Monkees if I can find all of them. Don't push your luck, though, because I don't know if I'm going to cave in and cry about it. I'll see you all later, and have a good day.
I used to be frightened by all the wine coolers I saw. I was scared I wouldn't pick the right one. Luckily, I did. It was the most refreshing one of them all, Sun Country Wine Cooler. You see, Sun Country is a blend of premium white wine and real fruit juice. That's what gives it its great taste. Sun Country, say, give me the real juice cooler. If you don't say Sun Country, you'd better sleep with your lights on.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats, wholesome shredded wheat for the adult in you, great taste for the kid in you. So they're delicious and nutritious.
The whole grain wheat really packs a crunch, but the delicious taste gives it just the right punch.
Before Backstreet Boys, before NSYNC, there was...
Stop! You don't happen to be the Monkees.
Peter, Mike, Mickey, and Davey. The Rise...
They're screaming and...
Oh, you gotta be fucking... Mickey said in a 2007 interview on the Ro-Con radio program that while the inspiration did, come from the Beatles for the show, the band's image was not meant to be a ripoff of them. He said that the Beatles were always depicted as superstars with legion of fans, whereas the Monkees were always depicted as unsigned and struggling to make a buck. Hence why Peter's always getting scammed because he just wants to make money. He's hungry! This is also reflected numerous times throughout the series, even in the on-air pilot where Mike is seen throwing darts at a Beatles poster, and also in the episode Find the Monkees Audition, where the Monkees struggle to see a famous television producer who was looking for a rock act to use in a commercial advertisement. Also, in the episode I Was a 99-Pound Weakling, Mickey is tricked into signing onto a bogus weight training program, but objects by noting, where am I going to get that kind of money? I'm an unemployed drummer. And also in the screen tests, a monkey asks what the Beatles have they don't, and then they sing $13 million. And of course, in the last episode of the series, Furtis Caper / Mihagio, it opens with the repetitive strains of the chorus of the Beatles' songs Good Morning, and Sgt. Pepper, well, it's from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club, I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, Good Morning is, like, the chorus of it is used in the beginning. Even when commenting on the death of Davy Jones on February 29th of 2012, Time magazine contributor James Poniwazik praised the show. Even if the show was never meant to be more than entertainment on a hit single generator, we shouldn't sell the Monkees short. It was far better TV than it had to be. During an era of formulaic domestic sitcoms and wacky comedies, it was a stylistically ambitious show, with a distinctive visual style, absurd sense of humor, and an unusual story structure. Whatever that Davy and the Monkees were meant to be, they became creative artists in their own right, and Davy's cheaper Britpop presence was a big reason they were able to produce work that was commercial, wholesome, and yet impressively weird. And that's the whole video. Now, I'm sorry I didn't include, the specials or head, it probably would have made this video longer, but yeah, I really am sorry I couldn't do it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Little detour, as always, because I wasn't supposed to. I actually almost forgot the anniversary until I realized I had to make this video, and I'm glad it came out just in time, you know what I mean? So yeah, expect all the videos that you're supposed to expect, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video where we'll be talking about another soap opera.
One more.